here, and this is a demonstration of different types of tapes that you would use for doing painting with automotive, or basically anything else for that matter, exception of home products, okay? Blue painter's tape is basically wall shit. The green frog, whatever you want to call it, tape is basically for inside the house. Really not meant to be doing any type of painting work like for this or say guitars or anything else for that matter. It's basically, that's home shit. That's it, period. That's all it's used for. The frog tape, that shit there, it does make real good fine lines and stuff like that if you use it properly. If the surface is clean for doing walls or doing trimming and shit like that. But for automotive and stuff like that, you go to a body shop, bring frog tape, and they will tell you to go home and take your fucking tape with you. For doing shit like this, okay, is normally what you would use is the green automotive tape. Back in the day, we didn't have green automotive tape. We had this type of masking tape, okay? And the stuff works good. It is cut fucking perfectly flat on the edges, so you can use this to make a straight line. The only problem with this tape is it's very prone for getting bleed through, which bleed through is basically paint getting underneath the edge of the tape. Now, there are ways around this, is making sure that your surface is dust free and oil free, okay? Making sure it's fucking clean as hell. All right, so using anything that's a cleaner that has a type of a oil or a type of a silicone base or whatever in it is a no-no for using for fucking paint, because that will end up screwing up everything that you work so hard to make look nice. Now, you can make a straight line with this, and there's ways of doing this. Now, this would be sanded, okay, for one, because you're going to be applying paint to it or splitting it off at half and half or whatever. So, let me get a piece of tape out. Start this stuff as a pain in the ass. All right, you want to make a nice straight line? Not a problem. And I'll show you how to do this. All right, pull the tape, add a little bit of pressure to it. Eyeball to make it straight. There, now I just made this a nice straight line. And right now with the camera, it just kind of looks like a curve because of the angle. But if I end up putting the camera, it's a nice straight line. Can be done with this kind of tape. Now, how do you stop it from bleed through? Well, take your fingernail, go right on top of the edge and just lightly kind of like put some pressure right where that edge is of the tape. And now you just kind of sealed that edge a little bit, all right? So now when you're spraying, you would mask the rest of this off over here, make this a two-tone tank, different color up here compared to the color over here. When you spray it, it should be fine when you peel the tape off. Now when you're peeling tape off, all right, there's a way of doing this. Now you don't want to just peel it off straight. You want to go, say this part's been painted, this part's the area that you masked. You want to take the tape and you want to pull it down, kind of like this. You're kind of ripping the tape off of your fine line. You'll make a nice sharp line doing it this way. If you do it like this, you can risk the possibility of peeling the paint with the tape. So if you pull it down like this, very slowly, you should have no problems. Now, using masking tape for a straight line or having a nice fine line or whatever is not a bad idea for doing automotive shit and stuff too. But the best shit that you want to use for doing this is this shit here. This is kind of like a vinyl tape, 3M, and it's basically perfect for doing shit. Now this is a 1/8 of an inch. This one's a little bit thicker. It's almost twice as thick as this one here. You can get them a little bit thicker too, but the problem with this stuff is the thicker that you go with it, the harder it is going to be to make bends and curves and shit like that with it without it being perfectly flat on the surface that you want to work with. This stuff here is basically kind of what they use to make the traditional flame jobs, kind of like you would see on the rat rods and the old hot rods and shit like that. This is the type of tape that they would be used for doing that. There's also another tape that is basically a big mask tape, which is about 12 inches long. You can lay it over your project, stretch it, and it'll flatten out. And you take a razor blade and you draw on it. You take a razor blade and you kind of cut your design out and peel off where you want paint. This shit here is the older alternative to it, which is pretty cool. You can make flames with it. You can make pinstriping. Say I want to do something like this over it. Okay, just picture that not there. Now you don't want to touch the sticky area of the tape. So whatever corner that you're going to touch it on is you do not apply that to the body or to whatever you're putting the tape on. The oils from your fingers and shit like that can make it kind of like not stick very well to the surface. So it's going to end up, you might get some bleed through underneath it. So I'm going to put this on here right at the bottom of this stripe. Now some guys can do this really fucking fast. I kind of like to eyeball it to make sure I am exactly straight and where I want it to be. Now the thing about this is that you want to pull the tape, putting a little pressure on it as you're kind of not stretching it, but kind of pulling it a little bit. If you pull it too much, you'll end up having a weak spot and it'll be like thinner in that area. And you will have not a straight line, you'll have a fucked up line. Rip this off a little bit. Alright, and then when you get to, say, this corner over here where it kind of goes downwards, kind of as you're kind of pulling on it and stretching it a little bit and making that curve, there are no wrinkles in that tape at all trying to make the curve. And this tape is great for using for your fine line on your surface. Now, say you want to mask off this whole top of the tank, okay, very easily. You can do this very simply. Here's your regular masking tape. You overlap it onto the blue. Overlap it onto the blue tape, still leaving the blue tape exposed. Even if the masking tape wrinkles, you just want to flatten it out really good. And if you get to a tight bend, well, then you just start over again. But you're just overlapping the blue tape. So the blue tape is your fine line. The masking tape is basically what it is, protecting the area that you don't want paint to get on. Well, you get the idea of that. I'm not going to go all the way down because you'll have to cut pieces to make it go all the way down. Now, you would take paper, plastic, whatever you use for masking off. There is a certain type of a paper that comes on a roll that normally body shops would use. It's either green or brown, and that would be covering up the rest of this. And then it has a roll of tape that's already built onto the system, so as you stretch out the paper, it's already taping it as you're stretching it out. And then you just put it on, and this part here will be covered, and you can spray this area, and this blue tape is your fine line. Now, you can use this on anything. Now, where you get this tape at is basically any auto parts store sells this tape. All right. Now, here's a problem with masking tape. All right, or any type of tape for that matter, because of the adhesive that's on it. Say you have a car that you're slowly working on. All right, you got your base coat down. You want to do a two-tone paint job down. You already got it fogged in where your line is going to be for stopping it. All right, it's not a solid line. It's basically a fogged line in there. So you want to mask that off. All right. So you take your tape, you stretch it across to make your fine line, and you walk away from it for a week. Okay. Here's the problem with this, and it also will do this with the primer as well. Because of the adhesive on the back of masking tapes, it will swell whatever finish is behind it. So the longer that you leave the masking tape on a project that you're working on, the finish underneath it is going to swell up a little bit from it. And it doesn't matter if it's old paint, it doesn't matter if it's new paint, it's going to swell. So you want to be careful with that. Now, this tape here. I'm going to show you a little something with this. So bear with me on what I'm doing, and we'll see how this turns out when I'm done. Now, you don't want to, if you ever have to pick the tape off of the edge or something, try not to pick into the edge of the tape. Just try to do it from the top. You don't want to make this edge fucked up to where, that's the garbage truck, to where now you have a piece that's got a chunk missing out of it or a cut in it, because that will mess up your sharp line. So let's see if I can do this. This has been a long time since I've done this. See if I can still do this. Now again, you can make this tape bend almost any way you want it to bend. Now again, this has been a long time since I've done this, so bear with me. Now I'm left-handed, so doing this right-handed is kind of a pain in the ass. Now, the nice thing about this tape too is that you don't, because you're stretching it as you're applying it, it does not cause wrinkles around the edges when you're trying to make the bends. Nice thing about this tape too is you can pull it up, stretch it a little bit, and fix wherever you have a mess up. You can almost see where I'm going with this. Now, I haven't done this in a long ass time. All right, I'm gonna finish it off right there. All right. Flame jet? Anyone? I haven't done that in a long time. Kind of out of practice, but now what you would do is you would take your masking tape, fill in all the areas where you don't want the flame paint to go, and use a small razor blade and trim out, not go through the blue tape, but just trim off the excess masking tape that you don't want. And then you cover everything that you know you don't want paint to get on, leaving only the open areas of where you want the flame to be painted. Now the nice thing about this tape, like I said, is you could do a curve like this. You can even do a real tight curve and not have it like bunch up like normal tape would do it, because this stuff is flexible. Well, just a little bit of an idea. Now this tape here, you can pick up at auto parts stores, any place that sells any type of a auto body finish shit, you know, paint, supplies, anything like that. Now say you want to mask off this without removing it while you're painting. So you get some tape. You want to get right to the edge of what you're trying to cover without going onto the surface that you are painting. Now, this is the tedious work of doing this shit. Not a big deal, can be done. No chrome showing through the masking. So there is a difference between home tape, because if I would try to mask off this chrome piece, the gas cap over here, especially around that edge, and I was using blue painter's tape or even that frog tape, I wouldn't be able to pull that and stretch it, because it would cause me a problem and it'd come right off. So there's a big difference between the household shit and the automotive shit. The automotive shit is just a little bit more stronger, a little bit more better. Now I've never had any type of tape where it left residue on a paint job. So be aware of that one too. Now as far as putting like this type of tape over bare wood, that's a different story. Okay, maybe you would use the painter's tape, or you would use the frog tape and shit like that. But for automotive and painting, so if I would do a custom paint job on a guitar, I would use this shit before I would use the blue tape or the frog tape. This is what I would go for, not the other crap. Because I'm painting. Painting, automotive, regardless of what you're putting it on, same thing. Anything that has a primer on it, if you put a primer on the body of a guitar, use this shit. So that's it, boys and girls. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed my cheesy flame job. But no, it wasn't that good. I'm out of practice. But take care, guys.